Hello everyone and welcome to the 4.0 Gunnery Commando overview. Now I know it was requested. Well, oh yeah, Tano's still here because we haven't... He's got no pants on. He's got no pants on. But anyway, distraction. I know it was requested for the Arsenal Mercenary, but it is the same spec. It's the exact same spec. That's distracting. He's standing there, cool as you like, with no pants on. What are you doing? You're fired from Havoc Squad. As you can see, we have never even started Knights of the Fallen Empire on this guy. Yeah, he was one that was leveled in Dread Fortress. Okay, we just went into Dread Fortress and thought, fuck it, free level 65. So right, what is Gunnery all about? We're not doing Arsenal because this guy has better gear, basically. So we'll do this guy, even though we've not augmented any of his gear yet, but we still have... He's still got better gear than the Merc, and he's got the 220 offhand as well. He's got 220 main hand as well, so... Better gear is the reason why we're gonna do this. We still have our awesome Bolt Storm, okay? Blazing Bolts is your Merc equivalent. Fires a continuous stream of bolts that deals a lot of damage and depletes 16 energy cells over the duration. Note that it costs... What does it tell you what it costs? It costs less than what it actually channels over, so it actually regenerates more than it actually channels. So it costs you 16 over the duration, but you should be able to regenerate more cells than that than it costs if you have enough alacrity there. So it is quite a useful filler. Also can be used with our reserve power cell as well. Very, very nice. Costs no energy over the duration. So there you go, you've got that as well. We've got our Vortex Bull that deals decent amount of damage and makes our Grav Round activate instantly. Our Grav Round, which is our basic filler, fires a round, deals kinetic damage, crushes the target's armor, reducing it by 20% for 45 seconds. We then have our Demo Round, Demolition Round, as it's called. Okay, does 25% increased damage if it's affected by Gravity Vortex, which is the debuff that Gravity Round gives. So we always want to be firing Demo Round off when the target has the debuff. Also, this replaces Charged Bolts now, so we don't have Charged Bolts anymore in this spec. Charged Bolts was useless in this spec, so it is nice that it replaces Charged Bolts with Grav Round. That makes sense. It makes the spec a little bit easier. The big thing that we want is, if I can find it, not rotary cannon, critical damage bonus by 30% is Hail of Bolts, which is our AoE. Where is it? There it is. Curtain of Fire. There it is. Grav Round and Hail of Bolts finishes the cooldown on full auto and Bolt Storm and increases damage dealt by the next full auto or Bolt Storm by 10%. Okay, as you can see, Bolt Storm is our highest damage dealing ability, and giving it an extra 10% damage is very, very nice. We want to take advantage of Curtain of Fire as much as possible. We also, if we're interrupted, we get Blowback. Draw your own conclusions. Makes our next Bolt Storm immune to interruption, which is more of a PvP thing than a PvE. We're generally not really going to be interrupted very much on that. Supercharged Barrel is our new ability. Charged Barrel increases the critical chance of the next high impact bolt or medical probe by 3% per stack. Charged Barrel, you should mention that. I should have mentioned that. Where is it? There it is. Charged Barrel Grav Round grants us Charged Barrel, which increases the damage dealt of our next high impact bolt by 6%, or reduces the activation time of our medical probe and increases its healing by 20%. So we can have an instant cast medical probe if we need it. However, in PvE, we're going to be spending it almost exclusively on high impact bolt. There are maybe, if we're away from a healer or a healer dies or something like that, then, you know, we really are about to die, then we do not want to really be spending that, because high impact bolt is a nice amount of damage. Okay, Charged Barrel, it grants 2 stacks. Okay, you get 2 stacks per Grav Round. There is a thing here. Grav Round applies an additional stack of Charged Barrel and Charged Barrier if applied. Charged Barrier, of course, is our talent, our utility, should we say. Charged Bolt, Grav Round, Medical Probe build 1 stack of Charged Barrier, reduces damage taken by 1% 15 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. You can have both these buffs up. Okay, they're not exclusive. So we're going to take this. We'll move on to the utilities in general. There's nothing else really to discuss. We still have the critical damage bonus by 30%. They did escape the big nerf. The fuck you nerf. So Deadly Cannon is still there. So nerf is coming to Commandos as if they really need it. You know, you've got your High Impact Bolt, Grav Round, Demo Round, and Electronet. Electronet is quite nice actually. It's a nice little dot that goes on the target. Diversion grants 5 charges of decoy. Each decoy intercepts and absorbs incoming force or tech attack. Every time we absorb a force attack, we lose 1 charge. That's quite nice. Decoy is your threat dump. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. Armor piercing cell is active. Armor penetration, supercharged cell is increased by 5%. The supercharged clarity stacks build twice as fast and can stack an additional 3 stacks. Okay, supercharged clarity is of course our raid buff, isn't it? Yeah, supercharged clarity. Quite nice. Stacks are supercharged. Now our supercharge, we should point out, is available to all commandos. In this cell, this is going to be armor piercing cell. That's what we're going to go for this one. So armor piercing cell increases armor penetration by an additional 10% for 8 seconds and increases the damage dealt by Grav Round, the Demo Round, Bolt Storm, Vortex Bull by 1%. No, it increases the damage. That doesn't say. Grants supercharged velocity, which increases alacrity by 1%. This effect cannot be. Yeah, so it increases the damage of all of our rotations. So it is our offensive cooldown. It is our basic offensive cooldown that we use. We generate supercharge. The best way to generate supercharge is to shoot yourself with medshot. So generally we always start before a pull with 10 stacks of this. Now the problem with this is it procs our relics, which is kind of shit. So we get up to 10 stacks. You'll see here 2 buttons will light up. 9, 10. We get our raid buff, supercharged clarity, and our personal buff, supercharged cell. It's always a fight when you've got 2 commandos in a group, 2 non-healer commandos. As a healer commando, for popping the raid buff at the start, we generally do it because, you know, we don't really need supercharged cell at the start. Supercharged gas it is for your bounty hunter. But yeah, supercharged clarity is generally what we go for as a healer. As a DPS though, it is a DPS loss to pop supercharged clarity for yourself. However, it is a benefit to the entire raid because it gives everyone 10% alacrity. Okay, 10% alacrity to the whole raid. It is bloodlust essentially. If you played WoW, it is just bloodlust. So there we go. So what do we get? Utilities, we already talked about charged barrier. I would take it. Again, 5% damage reduction is pretty nice. Grav Round we're going to be using quite a bit, so you're going to keep this buff up. So you are going to keep this up. Cell capacitor is quite nice as well. Recharge cells immediately recharges 15 additional cells and grants 10% alacrity for 6 seconds. Alacrity quite important as well for the spec. The other one is Heavy Trooper. Increases endurance by 3%. Not huge, but increasing all healing received by 3% is quite nice. Sticky mods, charge bolts, Grav Round, reduce the movement speed of our target. That's our new one. We don't really take it. If we're doing a lot of cleave, chain gunnery is quite nice. Increases the damage dealt by hail of bolts by 25%. Bear in mind this stacks nicely with blazing barrel, which gives us the critical chance increase by 15% of blazing bolts and the critical damage bonus by 30%. So obviously if we're doing a lot of cleave, this is a quite nice AoE spec actually. So you got your these two work well. Okay, it works well with that talent, so it's quite a nice cleave spec actually, this one. But if we're not really cleaving, if we're just doing the boss and there's not a lot of ads that need to be dealt with, then no, we don't really want it. Paralytic combat stims, generally no. The problem with this is we really can't control when we're going to be knocked down or anything like that. So they will need the energy back. We don't know, we don't need the 10 energy cells. It's better to take cell capacitor because it just gives you that 15 energy cells, 15 additional energy cells, and the alacrity as well is quite nice. Reducing the cooldown of Concussion Grenade and Tenacity. Not really in PvE. And Stock Strike, immobilize the target. Stock Strike we do not use. Or very, we're never going to use this in PvE. Okay, Concussion Charge's knockback effect is stronger. And it pushes enemies 4 meters further away. Concussion Charge is your knockback. It's just going to knock things away for you. It used to be a heal in the healer spec, but they changed it to a utility, so it is not really the best. Masterful Med Zone is pretty nice. Increasing all healing received by 20% while Reactive Shield is active. It's a nice little healing buff. It is all healing received, so healing from your healer is quite nice. 25% damage reduction for 12 seconds, and the 20% healing buff is quite nice. Bear in mind you can use your self heals as well. You can use your back to infusion and your medical probe and your med shot. Sad that we don't get Colto Bomb these days. I like that. I like the fact that they could do some AoE healing. That was quite nice. So 20% received is pretty nice. Electra Shield, if we're taking constant damage, okay, then this can be useful. If we're not taking constant damage, it's useless, okay. We have to be taking the damage because it's gonna repel. It's gonna send it back to the attackers. So we have to be getting attacked constantly. It can be useful, and if you look at the Annihilation Droid, if we're doing the lots of missiles phase, it can be quite useful there. That is where it can be useful because you're going to be taking constant damage and it will just reflect it back. Reducing the reactive shield, reducing the pushback by 30%, making it immune to interrupts. Not really in PvE. The other one is Supercharged Defense. Activating Supercharged Cell increases our defense chance by 15% and grants immunity to interrupts for 8 seconds. Not really in PvE. Not really. Supercharge we do want to use as often as possible, but we're going to use it in an offensive sense, not really in a defensive sense. So it's not really going to be. FOE, activating Field Aid on ourselves, activates a foreign object exercise and reducing all periodic damage taken by 30% for 12 seconds. Again, we can cleanse ourselves. That is our Field Aid. Field Aid is our cleanse. There it's there. Cleanse is a friendly target up to 2 negative tech or physical effects. Okay. Can be useful if we're taking massive periodic damage. Okay, in fights like that. Fights like Coratini was always bad for dot damage. So we can cleanse one of the dots and we can have it. Only lasts for 12 seconds though, so maybe we wouldn't bother considering that. Night vision scope increases stealth detection and reduces the cooldown for stealth scan. Again, not for PvE. Advance the line is quite nice if we have to move around a lot. Okay, increase the duration of hold the line by 4 seconds. Now hold the line has had its cooldown increased. Okay, this is hold the line. Okay, grants 10 seconds of immunity from all movement impairing effects, knockbacks, and knockdowns and physics, should we say. Increases movement speed by 30%. So it is useful, particularly Revan HM as well. It's pretty useful there. Fights like Underlurker hard mode as well. Where you get the movement speed debuff, so you can be immune to the movement speed debuff for an extra 4 seconds, and you get 30% extra movement speed, so that is pretty nice to have that. Bear in mind it has been increased to 45 seconds, the cooldown. Was 30, although the Vanguards do have a thing that they can reduce this by 10 seconds. They have a utility. The Commandos, on the other hand, don't. In terms of heroic, Forced March, I was going to say Thrill of the Hunt there. Thrill of the Hunt is for the bounty hunters. Allows full auto bolt storm, successive treatment to be channeled while moving. Very, very important, especially if we're doing fights we have to move around a lot. There are certain fights in this raid tier. It is a big raid tier, but it's not necessary. Okay, fights like the Annihilation Droid is not hugely necessary in EV. Guard is, you know, maybe. Bear in mind if you get knocked back, it still interrupts it, so you know you can use hold the line to prevent knockback on guards. But you know, Force March is very, very useful. The other thing I like is Overclock. Reduces the cooldown of Concussion Round and Tech Override. Big one is Tech Override by 15 seconds. Tech Override grants a second charge, meaning two abilities with activation. An activation time will activate instantly. We generally use this on Grav Round. Okay, those grav rounds up, because it builds our charged barrels as well. Just allows us to get extra charged barrels out really, really quickly at the pool. 41-second cooldown, quite nice to use tech override. Getting 2 charges. There's not really that much. I mean, you've got reflex shield. When we take damage, the active cooldown or reactive shield is reduced by 3 seconds. It's okay. When we take damage, which 20% chance to emit an energy readout, which absorbs a low amount of damage in the last 6 seconds. Maybe if we're taking damage, Colto Wave is shit. Okay, it's not worth it. Concussion charge heals you and up to 7 allies for such a minimal amount of health. It isn't worth taking. Your new ability, Propulsion Drone, generates smoke screen renews. We'll talk about Propulsion Round in a second. It is a bit useless, really. Propulsion Round is quite funny to use, though. I call it the fart round. So basically, it prevents you being leapt or pulled, making you immune to interrupts and activation pushback for 4 seconds. PvP only, really. Reflex battery, increase the damage dealt by concussion charge by 30%. In addition, taking damage reduces the cooldown of concussion charge. Not really, we don't really want to push things back a lot in PvE. Shock absorbers can be useful, okay? Reduces the damage from all area effects by 30%. That's quite significant, okay? There's a lot of fights where we have big AoE damage going out, and if we get stunned, we take 30% less damage from all sources, so that can be quite good. Can be quite useful. If you don't need to move around a lot, we could maybe replace Force March. Overclock, I just take. The other one is Supercharged Reserve, which is a waste of time. Reduces the cooldown of Field Aid and Disabling Shot by 3 seconds. Bit annoying, really. Does reduce our interrupt cooldown. But we're not going to be interrupting things, because our interrupt has a ridiculous 24-second cooldown. So we're going to be low on the interrupt rotation, okay? We're maybe going to do the first interrupt, and then we're not going to interrupt again for a while. Okay, Field Aid would be nice, actually, getting to use that more often. Every time that we build 10 stacks of Supercharge over the course of Recharge and Reload. Recharge and Reload is out of combat heal. I've got Supply Pack, but it is the same thing, okay? It's the same thing as Recharge and Reload, essentially. It's just a cartel market item. There he is. So the reason why we don't really want to take this is before the pool, we're just going to shoot ourselves with Colto Shot, and we can start with 10 stacks of supercharged gas. Okay? Or supercharged, as it's now just called. Okay, so we can just shoot ourselves with Colto Shot to generate it. So we're going to start with the, or should I say Med Shot. Colto Shot's the bounty hunter one. And those mixed up. So yeah. When we start, we're going to be starting always with 10 supercharge, okay? Always on to gearing. Look at this terrible mismatch of gear that we have on. Gearing, alacrity generally is very, very useful. Getting our Bolt Storm channel, most of our damage comes to that. Getting that out quicker is very, very nice. Crit is decently important, but I'd say alacrity. Now, I haven't augmented any of this gear really yet. I do have a Vanguard set bonus piece. However, it is you'll see it is the actual set bonus gear, so it's got the 219 power in it, so it is actually quite decent. I do have the 4-piece for the Vanguard. Ignore that 124 augment, that was in there from a long time ago. Okay, the 6-piece should be your priority. Of course, cap your accuracy, and then you want an even split between crit and alacrity, generally, because both are beneficial. Both are pretty beneficial. Augment-wise, we're going to augment mostly for accuracy, and we're going to get rid of one of these accuracy pieces, because these 3 have accuracy in them. Okay, so what we're going to do is, if we augment accuracy, if we do 5 accuracy augments, we can ditch one of these. Okay, and we can then have another alacrity enhancement. You can see here we've got the this is an X-Arc Savant Mark IV. It's a 220 commendation piece with alacrity in it. Again, we probably will get either the other implant or the earpiece. The best thing about the implants and the earpieces in 4.0 is they're a free choice of stats, so having accuracy in them is a bit of a waste. Okay, so having 2 accuracy pieces and 5 augments. So I've got the gloves. Obviously, we need to get more, really, accuracy from that. So we'll need to get a 220 comm piece for the gloves. And the boots. as well, which would be 220 com. It's got a set bonus armoring in it, but I did put the mod enhancement in my Vanguard because that's my main. So you get 2 pieces of gear generally, and this will get augmented, re-augmented obviously, for accuracy and accuracy. Okay, and probably these 2 will get augmented for accuracy, and then what we'll do is ditch these 2 and put alacrity in there. The rest will all be alacrity in there, crit in there. These probably put crit augs in there. We got the PvP stuff here, the 204 PvP to get the set bonus. Probably put crit in those 2, and then that'll probably do is 3 enhancements and I think 2 augments for alacrity is generally the way to go. The rest will all be crit. Obviously we want crit crystals as well. Okay, we got a crit crystal in there. We got the farmhand, the blue crystal, the Luke Skywalker crystal, which I haven't seen what it looks like. Let's see what it looks like now. There it is. Oh, okay. It doesn't look any better than the old crystal. That's the it'll look better on a lightsaber, but you know, it is the Luke Skywalker crystal that we have on. That's why it's called the farmhand crystal, because Luke Skywalker was a farmhand before he joined the rebellion. I've got an Exarch relic in here, and we've got a resurrected relic. We'll just keep that, that's fine for now. But yeah, again, we want quite a bit of alacrity. The good thing is when we respec the healer, keeping all these alacrity, as much of these as possible as alacrity, is actually not a bad idea, because then we can have these implants. That's why I want to get rid of the accuracy from these 2, so I can use them for my healer and my DPS. So we'll probably have crit in the chest. The crit chest there generally is crit. We'll probably aug it for crit as well. The pants are crit. We'll probably aug that for crit as well. That is already auged for crit. That's a 220. You can see here it's got a... Oh no, it's auged for power, weirdly. We'll re-aug that for crit, actually. That is going to get auged for crit. It's got a 186 aug in it. That's going to get replaced soon. Crit crystal, obviously. We want the crit crystal as well. In our weaponry. So the goal, we should be looking to hit about 35% crit. And alacrity, we should top out about, I think about 9%. 9, maybe get towards 10. I don't know if we'll quite make it in the stat budget towards 10. Certainly 224 will make it. We're in 220 mostly here. We've got mostly 220 stuff, apart from these PvP things. See, that's why I think it's a good idea to get these relics, because you're not... Or no, sorry, the belt and bracers from PvP and the relic, because you're not sacrificing crit. Okay, you're not losing out on the tertiary stat, because there are no tertiary stats in these 4 things. Obviously the resurrected, I'll just keep the resurrected one, to be honest with you. I'm going to keep that. But yeah, these 204 PvP PCs, they're quite decent. They give you the 2-piece set bonus, and it's 500 comms, because they're 250 each. 500 comms. In fact, they're 200 each, they're 400 comms. These are, the relics are 250. 500 comms gets you 2 relics. 400 comms, do the PvP daily. Just do the daily for PvP. I don't know if I have the daily. I don't have it here, but just do the daily. I think you get 100 comms for doing the daily, plus the 4 matches potentially that you could play will get you there. So we haven't even covered the rotation yet. For this, rotation is fairly simple. We want to get as many bolt storms out as we can, hence alacrity. Put some goddamn pants on, Tano. You're annoying me. Have some pride. Have you no pride in Havoc Squad? I wonder if Yoon has the you're a disgrace, Yoon. What about Miss Dawn? Surely she'll have pants on. Surely Alara will have pants on. I need to go check before I show you the rotation. Yeah, see, Alara, sensible. Yeah, it's sensible Alara. She has pants on, she has dignity, she has pride. God damn it. Right, let's get to our rotation. Our priority, again, is Bolt Storm. Bolt Storm is our priority. So if you get several things proccing at once, like Demo Round we want to use on cooldown, but bear in mind, always our priority is Bolt Storm. So say you get a Charged Barrel, 5 stacks of your Charged Barrel, a Demo Round, and a Bolt Storm proc. Your priority is always going to be Bolt Storm, okay? The only exception where it isn't is Vortex Bull, okay? Vortex Bull is always going to be a priority over that. Where is the... I can't remember what the debuff. I'll fire at the thing. So there you see the debuff, okay? That it gets marked, okay? Damage taken from ranged attacks is increased. Bolt Storm is a ranged attack. You can see here the text is white, therefore it also hits the target with your blaster bolts. If you hit the target with a grenade or a round or anything like that, it is tech attack. Okay? So you have to know this. Vortex Bolt will always give you that debuff. So you wanna, if you have Vortex Bolt and a proc for Bolt Storm, Vortex Bolt, Bolt Storm. But Bolt Storm is your top priority. That's the priority system. Other than that, demo round on cooldown, grav round when there's nothing to press, and high impact bolt whenever it procs, whenever we get the 5 stacks. Okay, it lights up whenever you get the 5 stacks. Oops. Top to that droid there. Right, so our rotation looks something like this. Vortex Bolt, get an instant grav round off, get a Bolt Storm out. Quickly as we can. Bolt Storm, demo round, pop your thing, fire off 2 of these suckers. And then, of course, you see both proccing, so priority is Bolt Storm. And then fire that off, fire a grav round out, there's nothing to press. Again, and then back to it. And then, of course, our demo round is off cooldown. Fire it off, get your instant cast, grav round out, and then it's just grav rounds. And again, Bolt Storm is proc, so we're going to use Bolt Storm. Fire this off, get another grav round out. We'll get another one out. If we had more alacrity, we would have been fine there. We should have fired a demo round there. Demo round, fire one of them off. And as you can see, we've got our Supercharge up as well. Now, we always want to start with Supercharge as well. Okay, the goal is always start with Supercharge. Okay, and if you don't have to press the raid buff, then start with Supercharged Cell. Okay, so it's going to increase the damage of all those abilities and the armor penetration by a further 10%. Your high impact bolt increases armor penetration by 35%. This increases your armor penetration by a further 20%. And your Supercharge will increase it by a further 10%. So we ignore a lot of the target's armor there. I'm going to fire. I want to put him out the airlock for not having any pants on. It's quite annoying, really. The other thing we want to keep up is Electronet. Forgot to mention Electronet. Very nice. Does a decent amount of dot damage. It's 8.8k dot damage. It's not a great deal amount, but it is very low energy cost. 10 energy cells, very little. It just does what it does. It'll sit on the target and tick away. And that's it. It's fairly easy spec to play, really. When you get the 6-piece set bonus, you could, if you have a crit demo round proc, okay, activating unload blazing bolts full auto will make Bolt Storm or Bolt Storm will grant Eliminator's critical bonus, making your next Heat Seeker missiles, mag shot, or demo round and mag bolt critically hit. Of course, demo round, Heat Seeker missiles if you're a bounty hunter, if you're a merc. So getting your Heat Seeker missiles, or your demo round, should we say, to auto crit is quite nice. But bear in mind, we're always going to be using Bolt Storm. So at the pool, we do a really nice amount of damage at the pool here. Again, always blow this, tech override, and make sure you're not going to get 5 charge bolts when we get the tech override there. As for AoE, it's fairly simple, really. We're going to use our mortar volley. You can throw your sticky grenade as well. You've also got your plasma grenade, which I very rarely use. Again, puts a little dot on everything, which is quite nice, and then you just fill in with hail of bolts as well. You're just going to hail of bolts everything down. Should actually slap that on the keybind there. Spare keybind there you go. We don't really use pulse cannon because not a lot of things are in range. It's not worth keybinding, I don't think. So that's it for your AoE. It's pretty easy. If you're cleaving a lot, again, take the talent chain gunnery, and then your Bolt Storm does massive damage. But you can, of course, channel the mortar volley. They tend to do, I think they do about very similar amounts of damage, these two. But the difference between that is it doesn't go on cooldown. So we tend to just use a mortar volley, then use a hail of bolts. You can throw a sticky grenade at the thing. I use it as a stun for weak enemies, really. Mortar explosive round, should we say. Kind of useless, really, in this spec. Although it can be useful if I need to knock something down. I'll keep it keybound, because it is quite nice. I mean, it's useful in the other spec. In the, what's it called? Assault spec. Assault Specialist. So, it's useful for that. But I tend to keep it as a healer as well, keep it on key binding, in case something, an ad breaks off and comes towards me, I can knock it down, or I can stun it with sticky grenade. As well, we've also got our CC, concussive round, we've got our defensive cooldowns, we don't really have a lot of. Adrenaline rush is not great in PvP, to be honest. It rapidly heals you for 40% of your maximum health for 8 seconds. It will never exceed 40%, which kind of sucks. As well, think of it as enraged defense or something like that. The other one is a reactive shield. We've also got 2 heals as well. And we've also got the instant cast heal, and of course charged barrier, obviously, as well. Pretty nice as well. The grav rounds that we get out get us the charged barrier stacks, which is pretty good in this. They do get 2 at a time. I think we get 2. Do we get 2? Yeah, 2 at a time. Charged barrier reduces damage taken, so we get 5% damage reduction, which is quite nice for us. So again, just use Bolt Storm, Curtain of Fire procs. Should be proccing most of the time. Bolt Storm will never come off cooldown. Very rarely will ever come off cooldown. You can channel it when it's off the cooldown. You know, it is viable to use when it's not on that, because we can just fire this off and it'll come right back off cooldown for us. So it is viable, but very rarely do we ever use it, because we'll be using other things like Demo Round, Vortex Bull, Grav Round. Grav Round will be proccing all the time. Okay, this will be proccing all the time. You get your Curtain of Fire proc up all of the time. So anyway, that is all for this video. I don't know what we'll do next. I don't know, maybe we'll take a break from doing DPS. Might look at the healers next. Might take a look at the... I just forgot to check out Propulsion Round. This is what it does. Whee! Nothing. It's kind of useless. Kind of useless. The only thing I'd love to see is if we could use it in the air, which we can. Then we can do what hunters do with disengage. So there's your propulsion round. You can turn around and get out of things if you want. If you're doing Master Blaster, for example, and you want to get out of the red sort of carpet bomb AoE, yeah, it can be useful there. Occasionally finds its use. You know, useful. Bulo is actually quite useful if you get the circle on you. You can just go wait for the circle to just explode, then woo! Wait for it to drop, and then if you time it right, you'll take no damage as well. But it's more of a PvP thing. You want to jet away because you get focused in PvP a lot, especially if you're a healer. So there you go. That is your propulsion round, or your rocket out if you're a bounty hunter. Anyway, we've went on for a long time. This video feels long. It's 32 minutes long, and we'll leave you now. And thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon. And goodbye.